Right. So, welcome to Coach Middle East, guys and girls who are here for the first time. We're an incubation hub where we bring wellness together. Our tagline is Your wellness is our happiness. We provide a platform for experts from various medical and health backgrounds to voice their ideas, share their knowledge, and contribute to a better society in terms of the wellness that they can bring to the world. And we have reached many, many countries by the grace of God. Um, just being amazed at the amount of incredible speakers that have come aboard, from doctors in India to the UK to Egypt to the UAE, from to Italy to just been so many people, Australian speakers, people from the UK, more and more people starting to realize that this is an opportunity to really, really impact in their own small way. And we depend on you attendees to spread the word, spread our mission and our vision. We have with us today a really, really incredible speaker with us in our virtual room. Her name is, of course, Mala Naidoo, as you may have seen on the posters, but the poster will never fit in the amount of information that a person can learn just from being, in the room with Mala. But to give a brief and even though it may sound long, it really is brief. Mala is the author of the book that you see on the poster and on the screen right now, A Flaming Challenge, a lovely title. And basically, she's done what medical science calls insurmountable. She was diagnosed with four incurable conditions and transitioned. I love the way she puts this, from the wheelchair to the dance floor. She is walking, driving, and thriving again. Has done 10 book launches around the country, many guest honor presentations, given talks in London, returned from international book launches in Istanbul, Turkey, and even Dubai. She gave a copy of this book to into the hands of His Highness the Ruler of Dubai. It was such a great highlight for her. Um, she's been baffling the medical scientists as to how she's achieved all this. So much so, she's been invited to present her work at the American University of Barbados in the Caribbean. Mala is also a biomedical research scientist with an honors degree in biochemistry and a cum laude master degree in chemical pathology. And she's an internationally qualified resonance repatterning practitioner. She is really just short of amazing and has won the one with the Woman of Wonder Award, which recognized her for being a progressive thinker, a dynamic leader, a woman who strives to make a difference in society, and a woman who makes a formidable impact on others. And we're hoping that we're going to be blessed with that type of impact today. I'm sure she will. She is one of 30 who received the I Am Woman Award, which honored her for distinguished contribution to wellness in the community. And that was out of 1,000 women who were nominated. And she's married to a pharmacist, loving husband, and has two amazing kids. She redefines basically the medical concept of chronic disease while celebrating life, and is on a mission to help others celebrate their lives too. So, those people who are truly fortunate to link in today, to be in this room in this time and give themselves the gift of this 1 hour, absorb as much as you can, take in and digest and apply and share this message. If you haven't already, tell people to quickly get on. There are people suffering with health challenges all around us. And basically, we are all about educating others like a lantern which lights our way in a dark alley. I am Atiyya Dudhat. I'm the founder of Coach Middle East. I'm a clinical counselor and have a passion for human development, from education to psychology, having founded the Ati Tribe show on CII Radio, which airs every Saturday. And in 2021, it will be on the Sunday evening, 8 p.m. Dubai, 6 p.m. South Africa. And as well as I'm the founder of Authors Tribe, which is a platform to help writers become authors. And in fact, this afternoon, we're going to be having a show on the Ati Tribe show, showcasing two teenagers who have become authors already, two amazing young kids. So I hope you get to tune in onto that one as well. Replays of all our shows are available on www.coachmiddleeast, as well as on the on YouTube. And you can connect with me at any time via the Coach Middle East website, via Authors Tribe, and via etitribe.org. So I'm going to welcome you warmly, Mala. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We're just looking so forward to having you here with us and just honored making you the co host now. So you can screen share.
Thank you, Atiyya. Thank you so much.
Accept co host. And just like we did it on the.
Okay.
There we go.
Are you there?
Yes, there we go.
I want to start by saying thank you so much. This is incredible. I must say I had goosebumps when I got the invite because it's so special the work you are doing, and to be on your platform is really an honor for me. Thank you so much, Atiyya.
Most
And
welcome.
I'd like to start today by saying thank you so much to all our listeners, everyone that has tuned in. I feel very honored having your time. And I'd invite you to start with a little breathing session now. I'd like for all of us to just come into the now. I'm sure some of you might be rushing around trying to make sure you're here on time. I invite you to just settle down now. Become aware of your breathing. Just breathe in and out. If you feel safe, you're welcome to close your eyes and just become aware of your breath. You're breathing in and breathing out. Keep your attention in the body. Just be aware of how beautiful it is to be alive. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Now, Acha, can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. Now, according to medical science, I should be in a wheelchair. I should be looking like this, completely incapacitated, not able to function. It's according to my MRI scans, there is no way I should be walking. So now, ladies and gents, when we look at quantum physics, we combine quantum physics with neurobiology, psychoneuroimmunology, neuroendocrinology, and epigenetics. We then start looking at life from a very, very different attitude, from a different mindset, and it starts making the impossible possible. Let me tell you more about that. Now, before I go into my own, let me just go back one. Sorry, did I go out completely? Okay, sorry, let me just get it back.
No problem.
Google slide.
There we go.
Go. Sorry, the Wi-Fi on my end's not the best. Now, for those of you that are joining us, you're welcome. I'd love for you to just write a yes if you know anybody that is at the moment, battling chronic disease. If you know somebody that is, or maybe you yourself might be really battling some symptoms, please put a yes in the chat box for us to just have an idea of who we're speaking to. And actually, if you could give me a number, if it's all of us, what percentage is sitting there? Now, I'm sure all of you will agree, conditions like depression, stress, fatigue, hypertension, coronary heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune conditions are really the silent killers in our community right now. It's hampering our workspace, our families. We are not doing our best because we are riddled with symptoms. And for many, these symptoms are silent symptoms. Now, according to Global Pharma, in the year 2023, it will hit $1.5 trillion. Now, this is scary. It means the meds we are using are just not working. And the pharmaceutical industry is trying to help us. They're coming out different meds all the time. Every day we see a new drug on the market. But why is it our symptoms are increasing instead of decreasing? And like I said, yeah, are we becoming comfortable in our misery? You know, we've been told we have a chronic disease, and really, is it fair to ourselves to just accept it and now know you're going to live a life riddled with symptoms? Or is there an opportunity to let go of the symptom? Now, I was in a situation where I had to face that question. And in doing that, I came up with answers, and I put all these answers in a book called A Flaming Challenge. And I came up with what is called a take charge wellness formula. Okay, excellent. So I see everybody present here does or knows somebody or is experiencing symptoms as a result of chronic disease. So today, let's address, does this take charge wellness formula really exist? Is it something that works? Now, ladies and gents, I'm diagnosed with not one, but 4 incurable conditions. And as a result of this diagnosis, I must say, it ended up being the greatest gift in my life, because on the journey to try and make myself well, I discovered strengths within myself that I never knew was possible. The diagnosis was so serious that I didn't just have, a second opinion. I had 5 specialist physicians diagnose me, and they all came up with the same diagnosis. I'm diagnosed with secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. This is a form of MS where the medical science says there's no way the symptoms can disappear. I'm also diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's disease, and fibromyalgia. Now, all these conditions, medical science says there is no cause and there is no cure. Now, I make no apology for this slide. It's a very, very busy slide. But ladies and gents, that's how my body looked. I was riddled with symptoms from all these conditions. I mean, you name a symptom, my body had it, starting from whether it was depression, it was nausea, it was cramping. I was tingling from head to toe with the MS. I had severe, severe fatigue. I lost vision in the one eye. I battled to swallow. I had weakness throughout my body. I could barely, I was basically bedridden. I couldn't even get to the bathroom. I couldn't shower myself. I could do nothing. And I was in this space for about, for 18 months. I was just battling. This is how I looked here with all the medication I was on, because I was taking meds, and then I had so many side effects from those meds. I took more meds to counteract the side effects, and I wasn't winning this battle. The disability, the loss of functionality, the depression, the mood swings was crippling me. And I knew that I had to do something about this. Now, here's a fact that really, really scared me. When I was diagnosed with MS, I didn't know much about it. And I thought it was a new condition. And when I went back to the books and had a look, the first case of MS entered our medical textbooks in 1868. Now, that's 158 years.
My word.
Exactly.
And yet many of us hadn't heard of it and only probably heard about it in the last 15 to 20 years.
Exactly. But I mean, with all our advances in medical science, we still have no idea what causes the condition. And medical science says there is no cure. That's when I realized, Atiyya, there is something wrong with the way we're approaching chronic disease. I mean, the doctors that I was working with, I could see they were so passionate with trying to make me well. They didn't like that they are sending me home riddled with symptoms time and time again. There was a stage where my headaches were so bad, I had to have nerve blocks done. And these are injections that are given in the head area. It was extremely painful. And that gave me relief for just 6 weeks. So I had to come up with a different plan. So today I want to speak about conscious healing, really breaking through the barrier of incurable conditions. There I was sitting and asking myself, why am I not healing? What have the experts missed out here? I had the best of the best in the field that were looking at my MRIs, my blood tests, and nobody could help me time and time again, So I said, okay, let's look at the basics. what are we? Let's start at the beginning. And I said, what are my doctors looking at? How do they look at the human body? I mean, with medical science right now, if I had to break my leg, I want to be in that emergency room. That's what will fix me up. When there's an acute flare up, the emergency medicine really works. Medical science is fantastic when the injury comes from the outside. Medical science looks at the body. We're looking at the skeletal system, the muscular system, all the different systems that we can see and measure. And that's how they look at it. I mean, medical science is fantastic for any injury from the outside. But when the injury comes from the inside, medical science is stumped because it's emergency medicine. We cannot apply emergency medicine to chronic conditions. So I said, okay, let's look at some of the people that we respect in the scientific world. Actually, I looked at Hippocrates, the father of medicine. And he said, let food be thy medicine and let medicine be thy food. I mean, Albert Einstein said everything in the universe is in a state of vibration. Every flower, every rock, every cell in the human body has its own color, its own sound, and its own frequency. So I looked at people like this. I looked at some of the greatest scientists and I said, how are they looking at the human body? And what I discovered, Atiyya, was mind-blowing. The human body is made up of sound. Okay, some of the most advanced scientists in the world, the late Stephen Hawking, via string theory, confirmed that everything in the universe is in a state of vibration and it's vibrating with sound. And that sound produces color. The human body is surrounded by color. We are energy. We are frequency. We know the human body is electric. There are chemical reactions happening in our cells that use electrical currents. And this produces a magnetic field. The human body is love. I'm sure all will agree. When we are sad, we feel it in the body. The human body is love. It is joy. It is vibration. It is consciousness. And that's when I started to respect the human body a little bit different. There's divine intelligence within every cell of the human body. While we are all sitting, listening to this, our body is, keeping us alive. It's our heart's pumping the blood, the kidneys filtering, the liver's detoxing, the lungs are taking in the oxygen, letting out carbon dioxide without us thinking about it. There's a divine intelligence sitting in there that is controlling everything. We speak about the chakras. The human body, we said, is electric. The chakras are just nothing more than our step-down transformers. Now, these are things that are not found in our medical textbooks out here. So I was wondering, why is it not there? Why is it my doctors cannot see this? How are these aspects influencing my healing? And I said, okay, if I look at all these aspects, could I possibly awaken the doctor within? What would happen if I tap into the pharmacy within my body? I know, I researched and found out what are the happy chemicals in the human body. We have dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin. And I said, okay, let's see how we can activate these chemicals. Now, a big reason why I felt I can do something about it is while I was studying, while I was doing my master's in med school, I learned about the placebo and the nocebo effect. Now, all of you listening, I'd love for you to let us know if you've heard about the placebo and nocebo effect. It's very, very much a part of our healing. Now, what this means in the pharmaceutical industry, when a new drug hits the market, just before it hits the market, they have to do studies with patients against a placebo. What this is, they get a group of patients with a similar condition, and they tell them there's a new drug on the market, and they give half the participants the active ingredient, and the other half take a placebo. So a placebo is an empty capsule. Sometimes they just put sugar in it. If it's an injection, it's a saline injection. That means the placebo does not have the active ingredient of the actual drug. And they discuss with these patients the side effects that one could experience as well. And they give them all these, and they send them off, and they measure these patients. Now, what is very interesting is that patients taking the placebo, the empty capsule, produce the results identical to those taking the active ingredient. So I say, how is this possible? What happened here? Just the mind, the belief. The patients didn't know whether they're taking the placebo or the active drug. So obviously, this person thought they were taking the active drug, and their mind responded, asked the body to release the chemicals to match the pharmaceutical drug that is being presented. And I found this fascinating. Now it's even more exciting. Those that took the nocebo, well, actually all take the placebo. The nocebo is those patients that took the empty capsule. They didn't have in the active drug, yet they had the side effects of the active drug.
Are you kidding me?
So yes, and doctors found this. Wow, this is unbelievable. And they did this experiment over and over again. You always find the nocebo effect. So just by listening, somebody telling you something negative is going to happen to your body, our biochemistry responds to those words. Now, Atiyya, think about us patients. When we leave the doctor's room and the doctor tells us we have an incurable condition, the symptoms are here to stay. What is that doing to our biology?
Automatically, you're going to be in a position of a slump.
That's right. And let's look at further now. You heard this news. Now, the human body, going further into how to give permission to the human body to turn on the doctor within, we need to become aware of the two survival systems within the human body. Our Creator made us to survive. We have a survival system within the body. It's called our immune system. And we have a survival system to protect us from danger on the outside. It's called the fight, flight, freeze response within us. So if there's danger on the outside, the human body decides, okay, it calculates, can I fight this danger? Do I need to run? Do I need to freeze? What's the best action to take? Now, what's so interesting here, Atiyya, both these systems need so much of energy for it to work. It cannot function together. We use the term antagonistic to each other. There's either one or the other is at an optimum. So when we are in fight, flight, freeze, the human body has to switch off the healing, the immune system. It cannot run both systems. Now, this is very, very important, Atiyya, because our fight, flight, freeze response is turned on by our thoughts, just our thoughts alone, nothing else. So thinking anything negative, just a phone call even, somebody said something to you you didn't like, we will turn on the fight, flight, freeze system in our body. So that's automatically turning off our healing system. Now, these two systems are governed in the human body by the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So I'm sure everyone can see this clearly. Fight, flight, freeze, we turn on the sympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system is rest and digest. So I did everything in my power to switch off sympathetic nervous system, switch on parasympathetic nervous system. Is everybody happy with this? Does this make sense so far?
I believe that now since the pandemic hit us, we've extended the fight, flight, and freeze to one more. It's now fight, flight, freeze, or flock mentality, because we kind of get like this herd mentality that we want to get together, where we think strength is in numbers. And yes, strength has proven to be in numbers in the past, because I mean, think about it. If you're a tribe, your chances of survival are greater when you've been faced with external threat. But I love what you said earlier on about how the medical tools, the medical fraternity, and the medical technology and the setup of systematic response is wonderful and works effectively when a trauma is from the outside. But we have to
Correct.
really dig deep, and I just love the way you've coined that, ignite the doctor within. unleash the doctor within. Really, this is phenomenal. This is truly phenomenal. People are talking about it, that you can heal yourself, and a lot of people are like, oh, is that just airy fairy? Is that just a one-off thing? Was that she just lucky? And you are here today to prove to us that it's not about luck. It's about connecting on a different consciousness.
Absolutely, Atya. When I first came out of the book, when I started doing talks, people were questioning whether I really had the condition. They found it really difficult to accept it. I presented to doctors and they thoroughly enjoyed the presentation. It made sense to them, and they loved that we did come up with a formula to help the patients. Now, as human beings, Atya, we get angry, we get sad, we need to know what we are doing to the biochemistry within us. We get angry with somebody else out there thinking we sorted them out. Oh no, all we did was injure ourselves.
Mhm.
And if you look at what happens when we get angry, any negative emotion turns on the fight, flight, freeze response. This is what happens within the body. Your heart rate speeds up, blood flow to the brain and muscles speeds up because you're getting ready to fight or to run, that it makes sense for the digestion to stop, for the immune system to shut down, because there's no point in fighting a bug if there's danger in front of you, that doesn't make sense to our brain. We breathe faster, we tense up. So think about this, ladies and gents. Every time you're in a negative space, that's how your biochemistry looks. We are giving no room for healing when we're in this space. So we took all this information and realized we had to come up with a plan A because there was no plan B for me. I was just so ill all the time. And we came up with what is called a take charge wellness formula. It took me 6 months to come up with the formula, Atya, because I was the guinea pig. My body was the laboratory. So we were experimenting. I was making notes every day. So it was writing. There were notes all around my house, my kitchen, my bedroom, my bathroom. Every time I had a symptom, I would write it down. I wrote, what made it worse, what made it better. And we discovered a pattern. We discovered days when I was well, what was I doing correctly? So we did this over a 6-month period and we discovered for me, wellness equaled love. That is healing the heart, plus change in food. I had to relook at, the nutrition in myself, plus a change in thoughts, because thoughts determine our biochemistry. I had to bring in activity, because when we're moving, we're living.
Mhm.
I multiply that with discipline and motivation, which is the what and the why. I had to truly understand why I was doing these things in order for me to continue doing it. And most important, I had to remove the triggers, Atya, because it was no point in me doing one thing right and then, bringing the triggers on and causing more inflammation in the human body. There I was sitting doing my meditation, but eating all the wrong foods, and that was just adding fuel to the fire. With all the conditions I was diagnosed with, all of them have intense inflammation in the body. So I had to see exactly what was happening. Now, Achia, if you look at this formula that brought me wellness, brought me a state of symptom-free space, when doctors looked at this and they asked me, Mala, how do we put this into a capsule?
Mhm. Good question. How do you put all that
And
into a capsule?
now you know why the pharmaceutical industry cannot give it to us. It is not possible for them to put these things in a capsule. And these are the aspects that brought wellness to my body. All I did, I became very, I really looked at the basics. What does a human body need to survive, to be alive? We need food, we need water, we need love. That's what the human body needs to take in. We need our oxygen. And I optimize those things. They're simple things. And in doing that, I gave permission for my body to start healing itself.
Mhm.
So we look a little bit further into this. The reason I put love in, because now we actually have 3 brains in the human body. There's a brain in the head that we all know of. There's also a brain in the heart. Science has now discovered there are more neurological pathways going from the heart to the brain than the brain to the heart. So it's actually the heart that's controlling the brain, and then the brain sends messages to the rest of the body. in a certain state, it will send the biochemistry to match that state. Okay, I discovered that forgiveness was huge for me. I had to look into that, acceptance of the now, acceptance of where we are. And I really had to choose love as being medicine for me. It wasn't this airy fairy thing that I really had to sit down and address within me. What was stopping that? Why was I not feeling the love that's there? The love's in all of us. We don't have to look for it. We have to look for all the things that are covering up that love.
Mala, I think
And
at this point, such an interesting juncture, I must ask you how,
yes,
and without wanting to distract you too much, but if you can encapsulate, playing on your word about the capsule there, if you can encapsulate how much did self-love play into the formula that you devised here with the Take Charge Wellness formula? Because love is such a broad concept. How does self-love, how did it play its part for you in this wellness journey? I mean, four incurable diagnoses from a wheelchair to the dance floor. What was the role self-love played?
self love was the most important step for me to start the process. For as long as I didn't feel loved inside me, I could not have the energy to try and do the other things, to work out why I need to eat better and things. I really had to come to a space of understanding, to forgive myself, to stop the blame, to know that I am good enough. You know, my son made a statement that scared the hell out of me. He says, Mom, you're almost committing suicide legally. Your cells are eating you up. Your cells are eating your immune system's attacking your own body. And actually, I just went, wow, what a statement he made. How much drama is sitting inside of me that I need to get rid of. And all I did, I changed the way I was looking at my world, Atiyah. That's all. I had to reframe my world. And I felt the most potent thing to start that process was gratitude. I was lying in bed in fetal position. I couldn't do anything, tears rolling down my face. I started saying, thank you. Thank you for the bed. Thank you for my mom that brings me my meal. Thank you for the roof over my head. And the more I said that, I found myself straightening up, starting to sit up, just from saying thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's a big part. But in the book, I go into detail which each aspect of the formula, which you will really enjoy. The next part of the formula is a change in food. The triangle here is delta in science. It means to change. Now, I'm sure you're all very familiar in the literature where there's lots of news about the leaky gut health. Now, that's the third brain, Atya, in the human body. We have a brain in the gut as well. All right. So this is talking to all of us. So we always have a choice, Atya. People tell you I'm ill, chronic disease, there's nothing I can do, I have no choice. We do have choice, ladies and gents. We have the choice to choose which path we want to take once we've diagnosed with a chronic condition. A diagnosis with a chronic condition is the universe telling us we need to pause. There's something going wrong. It's either going wrong emotionally, it's mentally, or it's physically the food we're eating. We have to take a step back and have a look at it. Popping a pill is not the solution. It's a temporary help for just this moment. I mean, our doctors give us a chronic script for only 6 months because 6 months is all we need to correct everything that we are doing wrong, to figure out our own triggers. Now, we looked at food. I looked at exactly, I got my mind to understand food is my building block. And if I want to optimize the healing, let me take all that pressure out of my body and give it only the nutrition it wants. So I pick up my prescription in the kitchen, Ajia. Food really is my medicine today.
That's so
And
beautiful. For those people on the show who, on the webinar, who want to know more about the brain being this, I mean, the gut being the third brain, I really would encourage you to go onto the Coach Middle East website and watch an episode by Dr. Dalida, who spoke about how serotonin and the feel-good hormones are developed from within the gut, and how the gut is so closely linked to one's stress and the stepping stones towards sickness and disease. So amazing show that we had in the past by Dr. Dalida as well. Well worth watching. Sorry to interrupt you there, Mala, because I
Oh,
know we have
absolutely.
a certain time and you may not be able to get into everything in detail.
Yes, yes. Oh no, there's so much to talk about, Ajay. I really battle when I'm speaking like this because I want to pour everything out. With the gut, healing the gut, like you mentioned, it's activating our serotonin. That serotonin level with the leaky gut, the depression sets in because the gut is unhappy. It cannot produce the serotonin for us. So, the most important, the biggest antidepressant on the planet right now is good gut health. And we all have to look at it. Now, when you're looking at thoughts, I loved that I have so much control over my body. With the studies, I've discovered, I've done lots of work in quantum physics and to look at how our thoughts affect our biochemistry. Now, there are so many stories that I give in the book, which really cements the idea that when we change our thoughts, we give permission for our body to change the chemicals it is sending down. Now, here's something that I found quite fascinating. The human body does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So, Atya, when we think about a fight that we had a week ago with our spouse or something, the human body believes we're having the fight right now and releases all the chemicals as if you're standing in front of that person. So, if it can be so destructive, I decided, what if it can be as constructive? So I used to use meditation and visualization, and I rewired my brain. My immune system was attacking the myelin sheath in my brain. So depending on where it damaged it, I was losing that functionality. So with my visualization and meditation, I rewired it. I created new neurological pathways to do the same function. I became very careful about my beliefs. I worked on changing my attitude. This is hard work. It's work we need to be very conscious about. We talk about conscious healing. This is what it is. Being present, knowing that your thoughts and words are your medicine. So
Mashallah,
I had,
thoughts and your words are your medicine.
yes, absolutely. And this is very empowering because nobody can force us to think a certain thing. We have 100% control over what we think and how we feel. We can change that at any time. So I to use that opportunity to start changing the biochemistry within my cells. And then we look at activity. The human body is born to move. With movement, we're moving our emotions. I love the word emotions. It's got the word motion in it. We
Yes.
need to move in there. Movement is our medicine. When the human body is made up of almost 80% water, and you look at water when it's still, it's not moving, it starts smelling, it's not nutritious anymore. It's the same thing with us. When we're moving, we're bringing life in there. We're allowing ourselves to heal. We are designed to move out here. And very often we find, we put it off. The exercise is put off. We got so much to do. We feel, okay, we're hungry, we're forced to eat. But exercise, we often put it on the back channel. One day I'll do it. When everything's okay, I'll start doing it. It's all part of the formula. People ask me, if I just sort the food out, will I get better? It doesn't work that way, Atiyah. We need to do the entire formula in order to bring wellness. Now, discipline and motivation put in the formula because if we don't understand why we're eating correctly, we've got to cheat our meal. We're not going to be, honorable to our body. We're not going to respect the body enough. So I had to understand the why. People tell me I'll do anything to get well. And when they see this formula, they just smile at me because it takes a lot of discipline. It is hard work. What I did, Atya, I worked out a strategic wellness plan for myself. Just like we do a business plan,
Yes.
I now put this together and I worked out a plan that will be convenient for me. And that's what I invite your audience to do today, to take this information and to fit it into your day. We need to take time out. To squeeze this kind of work into our day, it's not possible. Take time out and look at formula. And once you've figured it out, we need to share this with people around us. I must tell you, the formula involves 100% focus. If you want to shift something that medical science says is impossible, then we need to give it the focus it deserves. Now, working on the triggers, every single one of us share triggers, but not all of us have the same triggers because our stresses are different. So it's very important that we start writing down what these triggers are. And we really have to respect it. If you can't change it, you have to adapt to that trigger. And there's something huge that I had to work out as well. And all of this is covered in detail in the book. And I've also got a website available. It's malawell.com. My name is Mala. I'm well now, so it's malawell.com. And actually, this formula, once the patient has figured out what they need to do, I highly recommend you take time out to sit with your family, because this formula is a lifestyle change. And the patient needs to let their family know, the people they're around, people at work, what their symptoms are, because many of them are silent symptoms, and what they need to do to come out of that space, to let go of these symptoms. So it's a teamwork, the entire family is involved in this process. Thank you so much for listening. That's my presentation for today, Achia.
Well, now we're going to put you on the grill with the questions and answers. Mala, thank you so much for, just putting all that, these nuggets of absolute profoundness. I won't even call it wisdom, profoundness in the way you've just made it work for you. And that's the key thing here, is that you have become an expert because you have proved that this works. And just to go through that, the wellness formula again, Mala, if you can just repeat that so people want to just screenshot and just digest again what the symbols stand for.
Sure. Wellness equals love, plus a change in food, plus a change in our thoughts, plus activities, and you multiply this to discipline and motivation, and then you minus the triggers.
And you said it took you 7 months to put this formula together when you figured out that
6 months,
or
yeah,
6 months,
yeah,
when you figured out that this is now what you are kind of doing and what was
yes,
working. I studied the work of Brandon Bays with the journey therapy, and I use journey therapy with my counseling clients, and it's really phenomenal as well. She also had a similar experience where she doesn't I don't think anybody can attribute and say to that they cured themselves, but they used universal keys, and they used the attitude of gratitude, they used spirituality, the connection with the almighty, the connection with themselves, and the energetic being to facilitate the intellectual uh, ab- ab- ability of the body to heal itself. And she as well, she came together and had to sit with what did she do? What was it that she did that brought
yeah.
about that transformation in her body and in her mind? And you are one of these amazing people as well who've sat down and realized that what is it that I did and what is it that I have to do. So, which would you say, if you had to leave out from this formula, would cause this not to work? That this take charge wellness formula would just not work if you had to remove one of them.
Oh, wow, Ashia, I need all. I don't know. I must say I fiddled it because people tell me, Ma, that's a lot of work. It's a full-time job getting better, Ashia, when you're diagnosed with something that, is labeled incurable. And it's, I couldn't leave any out. I fiddled a bit with it, I must say. And symptoms started to come back. And I had to go back to my formula. And I realized, okay, Mala, stop fiddling the formula. It really does work. Actually, I cannot leave anything out because it's like four legs of a chair, you know? These are four legs of a chair. If any one are out, you can't sit on that chair. That's the aspects.
Of course. Just participants on the call, if you want to unmute, just raise your hand and you can unmute. And Yesham, what would you like to say, Yesham? I know you're so into all this. It's a pity Fleming isn't here because this would have lit him up, isn't it? Please unmute and share your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Mala. Thank you, Atiyah. It was an amazing presentation, and I believe that even we haven't experienced what you have experienced, Mala. We resonate many part of it with our lives, with people that we love around us. I don't have a proper question, to be honest, but I feel that, yes, I mean, this is an amazing formula that you calculated, and I can understand why every part of it is so important. We all focus on and rethink about our thoughts, our diet, our consciousness about how we should we should provide our well-being. And in terms of the formula, I just wrote on the chat part that yes, I mean, motivation and discipline is very important, because also in terms of maths, I can see how important are these. We should do everything. All the ingredients are very important to come up with a pure proper wellness, well-being. Thank you so much. It was really lovely to hear every part of your presentation.
Thank you so much, Ish, and I really appreciate you coming on to say that. Thank you.
And what about Feroza? Feroza, would you like to share with us? Because you put such an interesting comment on the chat that your daughter has been diagnosed with a chronic disease and you're battling that for 10 years. I would love to hear from you. What was your experience? How far in the wellness journey have you guys got? Is there something that you benefited from this talk that you're going to apply? How is your daughter now?
I'm not sure if you can hear me.
We can hear you. Welcome.
Okay, assalamu alaikum and hello to everyone. Look, it was in her high school year that my daughter, had picked up food intolerances, and we then discovered later on it was celiac. And then she had the leaky gut, and the toxins had been spreading throughout her body. So she had, bleeding in the brain and body inflammation, and all sorts of everything happened to Fatima. But it's been a journey. We learned, via foods, which foods to eliminate and how to help her heal. And thus, as a family, we ourselves felt that we were getting healthier. It's everything is not for everyone. All foods out there is not for everyone. So we had to, via trial and error, discover what she was unable to consume. Alhamdulillah, after 10 years, she's doing very well. We know the triggers, we keep away from them. But the formula for me today was a light bulb. Healing is inhibited if your mind cannot, how do I put it? If the mind isn't in sync, with what you're doing externally. So it's that formula for me that I think we need to implement, and not just for Fatima, who is ill. I think it applies to everybody who is looking to heal in some way or the other. So yes, it was very, very inspiring and motivating, and I'm just very grateful and blessed that we were able to hear such gems this morning.
Shukran so much, Firoza, and more good health to you and your family. And I believe you also changed, into your career now, into educating others about it. So I would really recommend that you connect with Mala, because she's a powerhouse of knowledge in the field you're looking, um, to reach. On a personal note, today marks the is the birthday of my daughter, who passed away to cancer in 2002. And what she went through, her struggle and our struggle, and at that time in 2002, people were not talking about these things. They were not talking about how we can beat cancer using non-allopathic medicine. Very, very few people were talking about it. And if they were not accessible to me down in South Africa. They were not, and on another level, even though I was in education and a counselor, I was not open to the wealth and the vast of energetic healing and alternative healing that was out there. And it truly is, as I want to echo what Mala said in the beginning, is that, it's the challenges, the sicknesses that we go through that strengthen us. It's the grinding of the diamonds, of the coal that we are to turn into the diamond that we need to become. And it fuels us to help others, because we don't want somebody else's journey to be um, as traumatic. Of course, life and death is written, and the time as a believer, I am of the opinion, not of the opinion, of the belief that there is a predestined time for birth and a predestined time for death. But having the knowledge and the the ability to assist the patient, whether it's yourself or your child or your sibling or your parent or whoever it may be, in that time to experience better health in their journey and a better quality of life on their journey towards the final moment, which I mean, we could possibly reach that final moment even before the patient, you know, in terms of freak things that may happen. But being able to do that, being able to have the knowledge to show somebody else that, you know, there is a better way, there's a rope, there's a hope, that for me really fuels what Coach Middle East is about. And I really am so grateful to people like Mala and yourself, Rosa, and all of you who come together to make this possible, so that we have this awareness and we, as coaches or just ordinary people, generate and regenerate this type of topics and ideas. So please do that. Please continue with the mission and the vision that we're trying to build here. So that
No, it's amazing, Atiyah. Sorry to interrupt you there. In the book, it's a self-help book. So part 2 of it is exactly what you're talking about. It's all the techniques that one can use. So part 1 is a bit about the drama and what I went through, but from part 2, people are reading it over and over again to apply the formula. So exactly what you were saying, it's another way to move, to stay focused on keeping ourselves well, because that is a full-time business for ourselves. You know, it's part of being human, is taking care of ourselves, you know, not just out there, not just succeeding financially. A big part of our success is how well we keep ourselves physically, emotionally, and mentally. And this book's available on Amazon. And in South Africa, it's also available on Takealot and loot.co.za. On Amazon, it's Kindle and the hard copy. I just want to let you know.
I'm glad that you shared that, because I knew about Flaming Challenge, but I didn't know you had the sequel that gives you the tools and the know-how, and I'm definitely going to get a copy of that. I'm just being witty here in the way you said, you know, caring for yourself and your health is your business. I'm like, you know, this is a new level of mind your own business. The next time somebody says mind your own business, it has meaning, because your health is your wealth. You know, your health
Yes.
is your wealth. There is really nothing, absolutely nothing you can do if you feel miserable. I mean, how many of us, we're having a bad day, we feel miserable, we just don't even feel connected with our goals. We don't feel connected with even speaking sometimes. So, how about you, Rukia? I connected with Rukia Khan the other day. She also shared such a wonderful video on LinkedIn, and she's going to be on our. She's going to be the last speaker to call out or ring out 2020 this year on Coach Middle East. Rukia, welcome. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? What were your aha moments today?
Truly love the session. Thank you for having and calling me on board. And Mala means a string. It's a string, right? It's what you wear in your neck. And for me,
Yes, it's a
it was like
garland. It's a garland
it's
of
a
love.
garland. It's a garland. So for me, everything that you share was like a pearl of wisdom that you were stringing in, and it was something that I'm
Oh, thank
definitely
you.
going to wear with a lot of pride, because I could definitely resonate with what you were saying. And I have a condition which is called what is it called now? I even forgot. My brain has literally blocked it out. But it's a condition, congenital heart condition, but use the power of my mind to kind of move past it. And I love what you said, and I love your formula. I think where I need to work on is on the exercise and the energy part of it, because all else seems to be fine. I love my treats, I love my desserts, but beautiful. I love your formula, and it's such a kind way to live and give ourselves space to grow. And thank you, Atiyah, for this great platform. I'm so glad that I got connected with it, and looking forward to my session here. Thank
Welcome,
you.
Rukia. We're looking forward to yours as well. Nadia, you may speak. I know you're wanting to say something.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me, because I was so involved writing my book, I didn't notice the time. And this was an absolute gem. I was diagnosed in August after 3 months of suffering and becoming increasingly immobile. I really wouldn't have coped without my son pulling me up from wherever I was sitting. It was quite scary. But through the lockdown and through having time to be prayerful about this, I have come to the conclusions that Mala shared here. So this is such exciting and wonderful confirmation. I was put on steroids and cortisone together with hydroxychloroquine that they are using for COVID now, strange enough. But I decided to go after the steroids and cortisone, since apparently, especially the steroids, stays in your body for 10 years. But I just want to mention that I actually ordered a little machine called Healy that contains 120 what do you call it, frequencies,
Mhm.
which I really believe is an added factor here. Since you mentioned the water, the 80% water in our body, and these frequencies work with the water in our body and brings things into balance. So this formula is absolutely powerful. I have found it to work, and I am on my way to healing for sure. So I'm really excited about this. I want your book. That's all from me.
Well, it's available on
Thanks,
Amazon,
Nadia.
Nadia. Nadia, what you've been through as well, it's a quite a surmountable feat to be out of the country. I believe you are in the UAE still, and
Yes.
remarkable that you're still writing, you're healing through the writing, and you're attempting to understand and use so many different modalities of health. And of course, we're looking forward to your book as well.
Thank you. I must say, I just have to add that the ingredients that was missing, a lot of that was added by our coaching training.
Yes, yes, that is where the motivation comes in and where the drive comes in, and the mental thoughts. And that's in the first bracket of Mala's wellness formula, the thoughts, the thought process that needs to come in. Very much aligned to behavioral cognitive therapy, in which your thoughts affect your feelings, which eventually affect your behavior. So
Yes,
yes, and minusing the triggers. I think that's also. I mean, as Mala said, there's not a single aspect of her formula that should be deducted, because
exactly.
everything is so valuable. But the triggers part, Mala, for me, I would say is something very key in the formula, because a lot of people are talking about, okay, yes, I'm a coach, or I learned how to do coaching, or I can put my thoughts right, or have good attitude, but they fall down in implementing the new thought processes when they don't identify what is the trigger, the behavioral conditioning that gets them to just react, to be on that default setting that they grew up with. I
Yes.
mean, think of a person who grew up in an abusive home, or grew as an adult in an abusive marriage, or grew up in a very poverty stricken environment. They have certain behavioral conditioning. They have abundance blocks that, there's not enough. Or they may be, everybody's out to get me. Or I've got to change my personality not to say what I feel because somebody might hit me. So
Yes.
these kind of behavioral conditionings we have come from repeated trigger patterns, almost like the Pavlov dog experiment, for those of you that study the psychology behind that. So I feel personally that in my own journey of growth, that every one of these things in the formula are very, very important. But if we do not minus that last part, the triggers, you'll keep making the same mistakes. You'll keep falling into the default pattern. And that will give you bouts of health followed by bouts of ill health. And then bouts of health and ill health. And you kind of go a step forward and a step backward and get nowhere. How was your how long was your process in identifying your triggers, Mala?
That's such a good question, Asha, because the triggers are, are physical. It's out there. It was things like the heat, loud sounds, flashing lights. These were triggers on the outside. Heat is a massive trigger for MS patients. Symptoms start immediately, or the next day. It's severe. So we live under the aircon. Another trigger I found it was the food, but it was, when I started working on the love and the triggers that came in there, I had to be so honest with myself. I had to work on the pain bodies. And every time I thought it's sorted, something else came up around me, whether it was with my partner, with my mom, and it started all over again. And every time, I felt threatened with love, I got ill. The symptoms would rise, and we could see the pattern. Although the food was right, I needed to get the love right. My thoughts had to be right. My attitude had to shift. I had to really go into a space of acceptance that year. That was the biggest learning lesson. I wanted things to be different. Now I was diagnosed. I wanted the world around me to change. Only I had to change. The only person that had to change was me. I changed my attitudes, my belief patterns, and the world around me suddenly seemed so beautiful and kind.
Mm-hmm.
I just attracted amazing people back into my life. It was so beautiful, but it's something I had to become very honest with. I must say, with all chronic conditions, we have to become very honest with what's hurting us on the inside. Why did our body, this amazing divine intelligence within us, why did it stop the healing process? What happened there? And quite often we feel unloved. That's what started that process.
Mm-hmm. It's just phenomenal. It's
Mm.
really phenomenal. I did a personal session with Dr. Purni Sudhakar, um, somebody that you should definitely connect with as well, Mala. She's phenomenal. One of the coaches within our coaching fraternity in the UAE and part of Coach Middle East. She also does just amazing healing work energetically for people with menstrual and fertility issues, gynecological things. It's more people are starting to sing the same song, and that's the beauty part, and that's the comfort in these kind of platforms, is that the awareness is growing, and we're not going to accept anymore that I'm sick and I've got to take a pill and my cure lies in that expensive medicine that I have to sacrifice everything to get in order to survive. We need to move completely away from that mindset and also stop looking at this kind of um, approach as all woohoo. There's a lot of people, sometimes you talk to them, say, oh man, don't talk nonsense. That's not scientific. Little do they know that energy healing is very much scientific. You're resonating, as you said, when you saw the love or not feeling love directly affect your levels of wellness, that is energy reverberating out of you and in you, connecting. When you say
Yes, Atia.
attracting the right people into your life, that's literally the energetic connection. And when I explain it to the kids that I teach, I said, when you look at the sun, you see the rays. When you draw a sun in a cartoon, or little kids automatically, without even realizing, they draw a sun and they draw wavy lines, or they draw lines coming out of it, they draw the beams. It's actually the light
It's
energy,
energy.
photons. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
photons coming from solar flares millions of miles away. I mean, it takes 7 minutes for the photon to travel from the sun to Earth. And that energy, if imagine if we could see energy the way we could see sunbeams sometimes, and you saw some negative people's energy as kind of spiky looking things, or ugly looking things, you wouldn't want to connect with that if you imagine that it came and touched your space. And if you saw happiness and gratitude and connection with the creator and love and goodness, as an actual wave of energy in the air, and whatever that would look like for you in your mind, if you connected with that to get more of that, can you imagine the highways of beautiful energy that would flow between people, and how much that would change the entire energy of the world and
It's
help?
nicely put, Atia. Yeah, and I want to mention, I didn't mention yet, the formula, my book is written from science, medical science. I had a neuropharmacologist who edited the book, and an anesthesiologist who also edited the book, and they've written their comments in the book. So I have 100, I think 69 medical references at the back of the book.
Amazing.
So everything I say in the book is backed up scientifically. So it's time we shift, Atiyya. You know, it's time to stop blaming the pharmaceutical industry. It's time to stop blaming our doctors. It's time to take responsibility. And I've put it in the book, you know, for that person who's very left-brained and wants the scientific proof before they do it. This formula, I explained every single thing scientifically. So I think the reader will really enjoy that. But
We're looking really forward to reading your book, Mala, and looking forward to seeing you in person the next time you're in Dubai.
I'd love that. Thank you so much.
Tell us about your experience of handing over your book to the royal family in Dubai.
Well, he had a representative from his office that was at the book launch. It was Hawa Shafri and Obrix that invited me, and they hosted me in Dubai. And yes, those were the guests that were amongst the people that were listening. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. And we came straight from Turkey, where I spoke to the MS Society there, and they were very excited as well. So I must say the book was really well received. You know, South Africa was fantastic. The medical fraternity are extremely happy with it. You know, when I took the book in to hand it the day before we launched, I visited my neurologist. Actually, if I knew how he was going to respond, I would have taken my video man with me. You know, he stepped back and he says, Mala, you did it. He says, you know, your problem is insurmountable. You know, every time I stepped into his office, he'd look for the wheelchair, and, you know, because I'd been in the office before he arrived. And he was always confused. How did I get there? Because I worked very closely with him to make sure I'm not, you know, causing any more damage to the body.
Mhm.
So we worked together, and he loved the logic I put in, and he's really so happy, and they're recommending the book now. So yeah.
Well, definitely we're recommending it, and it's part of what I do as authors, as the founder of Authors Tribe. I want more authors to get that exposure, and one of one of the presenters on today's show, the Ati Tribe show on the evening on CII radio. His dad is actually on this call, by the way, a young fellow named Rayyan, who wrote his book called My Thoughts, and the next one coming out soon. So, yes, definitely, I'm so honored to have you as an author here with us, because more people need to write about experiences, more people need to learn from what you've got to share, you know, and not just you, all of us have something wonderful and amazing to share, that we have a light, and somebody out there is in darkness and needs that light. We need to get off the idea of, you know, who am I to share my knowledge, or who am I to make a difference? You are exactly the right person in the right place to make that difference. So just keep on shining and keep on carrying
No,
the flame,
absolutely.
Mala. Keep on lighting the flame for many others to follow. I do believe that your book, your experience, your passion, and your giving nature in helping others to overcome um, their sickness, their illness, their mental processes that are taking them down into a spiral of negativity and ill health. I do believe you're going to be the champion to start moving people away from that. Whether you're down in South Africa or getting across the world in different parts of the world, I think you're going to have a tribe of followers as well. So, yes, we are really saluting you for what you've achieved, what you will still continue to achieve as well.
No, Achia, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, I want to say when we start this process, we need to be extremely kind to ourselves. You know, Henry Ford said, whether we think we can or whether we think we can't, both ways we are right.
Yes.
So the belief lies in us. So be very gentle with yourself. Start the process slowly, but know that you're doing it. You are getting well. You're getting better. And day by day, you know, moment by moment, you are getting better and better. Once you start this process, your inner intelligence, that divine intelligence, wakens. You know, it knows, okay, something good's coming down. This is nutrition for me. And you start seeing the logic with it in the book. And yeah, I really wish all my readers all the best, and I really hope it shifts you in ways you never thought possible.
Thank you so much, Mala. Thank you so much. Any last questions, comments, suggestions from our audience? People having giving so many wonderful comments in the chat box, Mala, talking about how inspirational you have been to them, how motivated they are, how many shifts and paradigm shifts they've experienced in this session, sharing their thoughts on autoimmune disease. And I certainly believe that the quality is there for people who come in, and everything is meant for everybody at that certain time. There's no coincidence that these 22 people are on this call. These 22 people on this call are going to take this knowledge into their lives and are going to impact other people like ripples of impact that's going to be created. So thank you to everybody who's been on this call, who's been part of this experience, and have the open ears, the open eyes, and the open hearts to take this and move it forward. Pay it forward by sharing her experience, pay it forward by sharing what you learned from my experience, from hers, and from even the attendees, from Feroza, from Nadia, from Rukia, Yesham, who've spoken on the call. Thank you to everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. To those of you whose weekend still just started, and to the rest of you have the in the UAE, best for the rest of the weekend that you have a few hours left. Thank you, Dr. Abdul Rahim Zakaria, joining us from Saudi. We really appreciate you, Professor, for being here as well. And I hope that you impact the lives of your students with what you've learned here today with the wellness formula.
And
Goodbye.
thank you so much, Achia.
Goodbye, everybody. Take care.